That was You Got My Whiffle and a Tiffle by Fatty B and the Num Num Gun. It's 5:26 p.m. and time for the news. You're listening to Fakahatchee Radio, KFAK. I'm Horace Wexler.
Cocaine and a crack pipe in the car.
And I said, uh-oh, that doesn't sound good.
This totally wins my case, Except it is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information.
Here are the headlines from around the globe currently trending on the FakahatcheeGazette.com website. FakahatcheeGazette.com. What do you mean we have to renew the domain? New Pope, deaf a good hang, says your surprisingly Catholic drug dealer. Not just in your head? New study from Brown University blames the word diarrhea, not you, for being really difficult to spell. Tariffs announced, denounced, unannounced, re-announced, flounced, trounced, and now causing your checks to bounce. Entire birthday party deported after co-worker asked to bring ice and misunderstands. And now, turning to the news from around the globe. A man entering the U.S. on a plane from Mexico City was shot and killed at Miami International Airport yesterday. DHS claims the man was wearing what they refer to as chickants, a portmanteau to describe pants made of chicken cutlets worn underneath a man's trousers.
This guy was crafty. He'd frozen the chicken breasts so they wouldn't spoil. So by the time he hit the customs line in customs, he was already shivering pretty hard. It was pretty clear to tell what was going on with him.
The traveler, whose name has not yet been released to the media, attempted to bolt through the customs checkpoint early Saturday morning, and what happened next earned Officer Portal Dortnoy a medal for bravery.
He leaves the turnstile and takes off running, and I didn't have any other options at that point but to pull my sidearm and start blasting. I empty my magazine into his back, call for additional ammo, wait 5 to 7 minutes for it to show up, reload, and then empty that magazine into his back. All the while, he's still continuing to flee face down on the ground in a pool of his own blood.
And this man isn't just an outlier, according to Border Patrol Deputy Chief Trunken Boy Smooch, who says in the wake of unchecked bird epidemics and tariffs, smuggling of chicken-related products remains at an all-time high this year. I sat down with Mr. Boy Smooch to talk about the issue. Mr. Boy Smooch, thanks for sitting down with me today. Are you able to put some of these numbers into perspective for our listeners?
Absolutely. We're at 350% beyond previous year's levels of poultry trafficking. 350%. And trust me, Horace, we can feel that number at the border. Used to be we were looking for fentanyl, but this is a whole new level. It's off the charts. Metaphorically, of course, because the chart is what told us we were up to 350%.
And this is reflected in a rise in smuggled cutlets tucked in people's trousers?
Yes, and being smuggled through just about every port of entry. Now, all things considered, chicken pants, or what we called chickants, are still a rarity among poultry traffickers. What we've seen a lot of at the border, though, is a boom in SmEGGling. Anywhere people can hide an egg, we've seen it. Mouth, you name it.
Ass?
Yeah, I've seen it there.
Armpit?
Oh, sure. Smugglers have a saying, tuck 2 in your pits, and you can still sits.
What about the negative space under the ball sack between that and the upper thigh?
Well, we suspect the potential for cracking there is very high, so we've seen smugglers crack the eggs into Ziploc bags and tuck that behind the testicles, where it's clinging against the taint. The bad guys call this going eggy balls, and it's very difficult for us to stop or catch without additional canine support. And these aren't just men, Horace. I mean, eggy balls is, but you would not believe how many eggs can fit in a woman's bra.
10. No, wait, 12 per cup. But in a very large woman's brassiere.
Oh, okay, well, I guess you would believe it then.
But Border Patrol agents fear without additional manpower in the face of this threat, they'll be unable to stem the tide of illegal eggs. As a response, the president has demanded Congress raise CPB's federal budget, declaring it necessary in the interest of national security. The president continues to claim violent gangs of Quebecan farmers, armed with accents, pitchforks, and military berets, are flooding our border with thousands of dozens of their top-shelf grade AA eggs. He's even gone further, posting on TrueDat he's not against mobilizing the National Guard and sending them across the border to stop these, quote, bad eggs trying to bring their good eggs in illegally. For the average American, however, the rise in black market egg smuggling is becoming harder to ignore, and it's keeping Turk and Boy Smooch up at night.
I know egg prices are coming down, but we in the Border Patrol gotta stay vigilant, Horace. Last week I shot my birthday cake 9 times. I was convinced there were Canadian eggs hiding inside. It turned out my wife used applesauce instead. I did not know you could do that. That cake was moist as hell, but you can't be too careful. Sometimes, Horace, sometimes at night, I bolt up in bed screaming that I missed one.
Suppose you did. Would that be that big a deal?
Jesus, Horace, I cannot imagine what would happen if someone smuggled in just one of these eggs that isn't infected with avian flu from Mexico or Canada. I guess I'd be absolutely terrified that they'd have a pretty okay breakfast. And I don't know about you, but in my opinion, that's just not American.
Thank you for your service. And if you're listening, smugglers, beware. Deputy Chief Boy Smooch is on the lookout. And that's the news from around the globe. Turning to American news. America. It seems we have some developing news from the negotiations between media company and theme park Danzy Universe and the state of Florida. KFAK reporter and bon vivant Chuchi Bonham is there at this hour to cover the story. Chuchi, how are things looking there?
Well, Horace, I can't speak for how the situation looks, but frighteningly dapper might be how someone could describe my look in a 3-piece tweed that's so smart you might even call it smug. The situation here, however, is a real oops, I wore short trousers to afternoon tea, as representatives of Danzy have suddenly left the negotiation table. Those following the situation will remember the Danzy Universe theme park had declared themselves a sovereign nation not long ago, looking to secede from the state of Florida, something the state of Florida absolutely disagreed with. Horace, as you might guess, Danzy storming out has left peace talks between the amusement park and the state of Florida in terrible disarray, with many asking what went wrong. Insider reports have said Danzy is unhappy with current sanctions, blocking vital and necessary imports to the theme park, such as cottoned candy and hotted dogs. As a precursor to more serious negotiation, Danzy had requested the sanctions be eased, if not outright lifted, before they could continue in earnest. However, this was a non-starter for the state of Florida, as peacekeeping forces had intercepted several crates of cotton candy with Kalashnikov rifles, tucked and hidden among the sugary candy floss inside. And I'm sure by now everyone has seen that viral clip of the Florida governor biting into a hotted dog dripping with relish, only to reveal a row of bullets secreted inside the wiener. A spokesperson for Danzy has refuted these allegations and said the governor simply must be an idiot, because who would bite into a hot dog if they knew bullets were inside? During the negotiations, representatives for Danzy reiterated their claims that park-goers, mainly innocent tourists caught in the crossfire, are dangerously under-concessioned, quite parched, and desperate for something to nibble. And while highlighting the positive that the sanctions have reduced overall chunder levels near the roller coasters by as much as 30%, that was only because Marmite whip and chutney on a stick levels are at an all-time low. Danzy has made it very clear it will not take responsibility for whatever happens if this situation isn't rectified. The Florida government refused to discuss the sanctions, which Danzy said showed a lack of good faith, before flipping the entire table over and positively strutting out, their roux tails wiggling behind them as they disappeared through the door. It's pretty clear, Horace, we remain at a stalemate, and both sides are digging in even further. Furious with the lack of progress in the negotiations, the governor of Florida has issued a 30-day countdown for all employees, guests, and park workers of Danzy to exit the premises and surrender to the state. At the end of that countdown, he says he will send in troops to remove whoever's left, and whatever happens at that point could potentially be blood on the big white gloved hands of Danzy. Back to you, Horace.
Thanks, Chuchi. Before I let you go, I just have to ask, are you a rube?
Horace, I assume you're referring to the die-hard fans of comic kangaroo Dan Z. And I have to say, while I've had a sensible chuckle at his down-under antics and enjoyed the sweets and treats of his park, I would not be caught dead wearing one of his gaudy one-size-fits-all souvenir tails.
I didn't figure you would. That was Chuchi Bunham reporting from the Dan Z DMZ. Well, when it comes to art, he's going to have to put his foot down. I'm speaking, of course, about our resident art critic, Billiam T. Hesterhoffen, talking about Fakahatchee's newest statue on Of Hearts.
Today, on Of Hearts, we take a look at the final unfinished work of Positano Fallopian, a sculptor well known for their mastery of obelisks, imbuing each with elaborate etchings, capturing the essence of humanity along each of its four sides. In all four dimensions, the obelisks reveal deeper truths as time ravages its surface like a football player with a tapeworm visiting a cheap buffet. But the world is nothing if not a cosmic joke, and one of the silliest ironies might be that the master of obelisks, coming to be known best for their final unfinished work, colloquially known as the feet. While it is tall, it is not the tallest. However, its implications of tallness resonate in the mind and suggest the majesty of a person rising from out of the cracked, barren earth, only to be obliterated by the sands of time, and now evaporated from their existence as a gargantuan shambling cylinder of flesh. They leave only the 20-foot-tall, smooth, sumptuous, muscular feet and ankles that once carried them behind. There is a vein. It is profound. Fallopian has domesticated the wild beast of art and groomed its chaos into something compelling. The metatarsals are luxuriant and they spoil my eyeballs to look upon them. Each toe is perfectly proportioned in a size comfortable for the human animal to wrap their arms around in the hug a bear would give another bear in a toilet paper commercial about the wipe strength of said toilet paper. I am struck by the need to both touch and recoil from the work, a paralyzing stasis that leaves my jaw slack and hanging like a noble hillbilly, child of the earth, desperate to breathe. I am filled with awe, and I am not alone in this public motorway as I gaze upon their resplendence. I sense I would never be able to appreciate their extravagant beauty as much as a man named Kevin, who is running the tips of his fingers along the stone arch toward the heel as I write these words. The feet defies my expectations, but it also stymies me in a muddled maze of corpulent foot think. What could ever fit a foot as large as this, large as this, large as this, large as this, large as this? My soul is disquieted. I sense that like the smallest amoeba, I too am not to know the secrets and inner workings of the universe. The piece refuses to accept categorical gender designation and thus the feet call to all of humanity, but especially those who cannot say no to a foot of this magnitude. His baser instincts now swelling with the glory of smooth sculpted marble, Kevin has his hand deep inside of his Levi's. His guttural moans an audible salute of appreciation to the artist's talents. I fear with this animal ritual he is enjoying the statue on a deeper level than I will ever be able to. But I, Billiam T. Hesterhoffen, will try. The work deserves it. I will return later after Kevin has crescendoed to avoid a chorus of moans. Back to you, Horace.
Thank you, Billiam. Now turning to local news. Yesterday evening, an anonymous whistleblower released documents online they say implicate Councilmember Richard Basebon in an illegal scheme to influence Fakahatchee's choice of sister city. The whistleblower released 1,400 pages of documents they claim reveal a direct line of corruption, agreement, and bribery between the council member and the government of Poland. These documents, while potentially damning, have yet to be verified by experts who have all touched their nose and said not it. We went on the spot to get your reactions and opinions. When news breaks, we're there.
I'm not sure it matters, because I'm pretty sure Basebon's dying, right? Didn't he say that last time he ran for the council seat? That he's dying? If he's dying, maybe just give it to him. He could probably use a win.
I think we all know for sure, Cole, that it was to be the Poland anyway for Sister City. So why not let this baseball mister do the big wedding?
I don't care what the crime is. This is Florida. Cops catch you, you're guilty, death penalty. You're guilty, cops don't catch you, no death penalty. Simple as that.
It's like God said in the good book, that he who has never quid pro quo throw the first gemstone to an official to bribe him into doing something.
We've reached out to the council member and will update this story if he decides to comment. And now Dakota Pittsburgh with your Fakahatchee weather.
Hey there, it's Dakota Pittsburgh, your rock and roll weatherman. Look to tomorrow when there's rain on the horizon, but we'll all be surviving, even if it pushes the humidity up into 90%. But sweet baby boy, you know that rain's gonna lay back and rip a crying solo for the remaining half of the week. So boys and girlies, you better get those umbrellas up if you want to get down.
Thank you very much, Dakota. I hope you tune in tonight for my show Night Drive, where we'll be talking about all the day's events, and you can share all of your thoughts and opinions on them. For Fakahatchee Radio, KFAK, I'm Horace Wexler. We're going to be serving up another big crock of rock in less than 10 minutes, following a message from our sponsors and the Fakahatchee Police Report.
Fakahatchee Radio. Still American for now.
I'm a grown man. I'm fast and lean, but I ain't strong. But that's me, Prugbodacious in a nutshell. I'm wiry. I can shimmy through a drain pipe like a snake if I have to. And sometimes I have to. But it occurred to me, even with these two derringers on toothpicks I call arms, I could still kick a baby's ass. Really throttle that baby. Punch its lights out. That's a wrong thing. It's gross, and I won't have it. I see a baby across from me at the arm wrestling table. I can't help it. I'm going over the top and breaking that baby's arm to win a championship belt. And that ain't right. We gotta protect our babies. Protect them. That's what we do. We gotta beef these babies up. Get these babies strong. Pack these babies with muscles. That's why I'm proud to introduce my new fitness systems for your baby's arms. Gunsforbabies.org. Get your baby's arms swole. Sun's out, guns out, bub. No one wants a potato-looking tater tot. Kick that spud into gear and let your baby take you to a gun show. My system is guaranteed to get your baby shredded. Don't use it on a toddler. It'll kill him instantly. The system's only for babies. That's why I call it gunsforbabies.org. That's right, ding-dong. I'm a non-profit. That's how seriously I take these 20 patented exercises that'll force your baby to register its arms as deadly weapons. When I come to battle your baby, give your baby a fighting chance. Gunsforbabies.org.
This is the Fakahatchee Police Blotter for August 21st. All times are recorded in U.S. Standard Time. Pronouns are assumed, but not necessarily correct.
2:32 a.m. Police responded to a local Waffle House where David Santos, Denny Flowers, and Paul A. were drunkenly challenging other patrons to a duel using serving trays as armor, napkins as togas, and spatulas as weapons. Verbal warnings to not disrupt the flow of combat were issued to bystanders after responding officers agreed they were in fact entertained. 3:32 a.m. A group of masked bandits, including David Alt, Michael Timms, and Matthew Hott, were arrested during what was described as a Mission Impossible-style break-in to steal an entire Publix deli's worth of chicken tenders. Police apprehended them during an argument on how to get the dipping sauce back up through the vent. 7:27 a.m. Officer returned to patrol vehicle to discover Nathan Greenaway and Tim Bland flipping strips of bacon on the hood, claiming, "This the public's heat. This the people's bacon." No tickets were issued during the impromptu breakfast, but one 3-star Yelp review decried a lack of accessible seating and the bacon to be rather chewy. 10:24 a.m. Police were called to a verbal altercation at Gate 12 when Carrie Shaw and Mike Kittless tried to board a Spirit Airlines flight with raccoons and a baby Bjorn, claiming they were emotional support animals. On police confirmation they had the proper paperwork, they and the raccoons were allowed to board for an extra $50 fee. 12:46 p.m. Matt Bishop, Gamer Grudge, and Ron Bandish barricaded themselves in the Taco Bell drive-thru, demanding free tacos for emotional distress. On officer arrival, the three were found to be suffering from severe lack of fourth meal and were released with a warning, a crunch wrap, and a small Baja Blast-flavored Mountain Dew. 1:27 p.m. Officers responded to a panicked 911 call of store employees after several men jumped into the fish tank at Bass Pro Shops screaming, "I'm one of you now." Nearby shoppers also reported hearing, "I'm your fish brother. How I get some of those fins you got?" And, "Where all the ladyfish at? Wait, are you a ladyfish?" The situation was quickly resolved when Scott Ford, Mark, and Ben Condell were apprehended by officers using a Daiwa Tatula XT casting rod with Shimano SLX DC baitcaster reel, baited with hickory barbecue sliders. 2:42 p.m. Mark Bernard and Mike Nichols were pulled over after their jet skis were clocked doing 90 miles an hour on a flooded I-75 while holding small alligators like teddy bears. The alligators were found to be under 18 and thus subject to Florida's buckle-up seatbelt law. Citations were issued. 3:17 p.m. Officers responded to a call on William Bryden Avenue where Jake Croker was briefly charged with kidnapping and then released on a technicality when the baby goats were determined to be without ownership. Later that day, he returned the baby goats, describing them as tiny bastards. 6:13 p.m. Jennifer Long was apprehended at her home after a short foot chase from the side of a roadside construction sign she had hacked to say "Send nudes, please." Officers agreed it was the most polite hacked sign and she had used the magic word and said they would put in a good word with the DA. 6:53 p.m. Officers responded to a call at the Sunoco to find Paul A. and Cass Stormer attempting to return an armful of used scratch-off lottery tickets they claimed were defective. After clearing the two from the property, responding officers checked each ticket, just on the off chance. 8:56 p.m. Car 72 responded to a local gas station after Drew Inns refused to leave a Buc-ee's bathroom, declaring it the cleanest place in Florida and attempting to set up a residence complete with small fish tank. Officers said Mr. Inns exited the bathroom sadly after what their report describes as an accidental toilet funeral. 9:01 p.m. Officers responded to a call at the local hospital where Kyle Decker and Chris Crafty had set up a makeshift VIP section in the oncology unit, complete with stanchions. Officers attempted to arrest the two for public nuisance, but left the line sheepishly when they were told there were already too many dudes inside. Mr. Decker did agree to turn the electro house music down out of respect for their neighbors, and Mr. Crafty said the two would look into the options available to encourage their patrons not to urinate on the wall of the NICU. 9:06 p.m. Martin Cox, Cash Mundy, and Alan Jordan were briefly detained after trying to bring a Walmart shopping cart full of unused fireworks onto the roof of the courthouse for science. It was determined they could not possibly be terrorists and were allowed to proceed with their important sky research on whether clouds can be killed by Roman candle. They are expected to publish their results late next month.